Hey everyone, what's up? OWG here. I hope you all are doing good today, and we have news about what is known as Anthem Next or Anthem 2.0. And this comes from Jason Schreier of Kotaku, who went on to say the following out on Twitter. He says, some recent Bioware departures have led lots of fans and pundits to speculate that Anthem is dead, but in reality, sources tell Kotaku Bioware is working on a complete overhaul of the game. Lots up in the air, but Anthem Next is happening. New from me, and we're going to dive straight into this article right now. It headlines saying the following: sources Bioware plans a complete overhaul for Anthem, and it goes on to say this: recent silence and a couple of high-profile departures from Bioware have led fans and pundits to speculate the studio has abandoned its most recent game Anthem, but the opposite is true. For the last few months, Bioware and parent company EA have been planning on overhauling the online shooter, according to 3 people familiar with those plans. Some call it Anthem 2.0 or Anthem Next. They go on to say the following: many of the details are still in flux, and there's no clear timeline for the Anthem Next project just yet. In fact, from what I've heard, the developers at Bioware haven't even decided how it'll be distributed. They're still figuring out whether updates should be released at all at once, or over an extended period of time. Anthem could be overhauled through a series of updates a la No Man's Sky. It could get a game-changing expansion like Destiny's critically acclaimed Taken King. Most of Anthem's biggest systems, its mission structure, its loot, its world, will change drastically, but the developers have not yet figured out exactly what that will look like. They're even considering releasing Anthem Next as a brand new game, although those who work on the project said that could take a lot of forms, and it's unlikely they'll change full price to Anthem. It's unlikely they'll charge full price to Anthem players. So that is what is going on there. What would you all like to see? Would you like to see them do a No Man's Sky Next or No Man's Sky Beyond, where they actually release these updates and then they release it as a bigger package, which that's what No Man's Sky Beyond did, and that was very well received? Or would you like for them to do like a huge expansion, or perhaps like a take on a whole new game? Sound off in the comments below. There are several ways this could go down, but it sounds like it is going to be happening, that Anthem Next or Anthem 2.0 will be a thing. Now, it goes on to say the following: many of the details are in flux. Oh wait, we already went over that one. It goes on to say this: the one thing that's for sure is that Bioware has not abandoned Anthem, despite recent breathless declarations that the game is dead. There are a few better ways to get views on YouTube than declaring Anthem to be dead. Right now, dozens, if not hundreds of developers at both Bioware offices in Austin, Texas and Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, are quietly working on plans to overhaul the game. Now, this is the stuff that I really want to hear about. I know a lot of us were very disappointed in the recent blog post in that they said that they didn't have anything to share with us long term. Now, this isn't like an official statement from Bioware or anything. This is Kotaku doing their digging and investigating about what's going on with Anthem. But let's keep continuing onward here. It says, we spent a few months just tearing it down and figuring out what needed to be changed fundamentally a lot, said one person on the project, and we've been rebuilding for another few months since. A representative for EA declined to comment on this story, by the way. Now they go on to say this: Anthem, which launched in February 2019, was a big change for Bioware. The studio made its name on a heavy role-playing games like Dragon Age and Mass Effect, so fans were surprised when they saw Bioware trying to take on the likes of Destiny with an online shooter. Now, thanks to a messy development process plagued with technical issues, vision struggles, and many other stresses, the game flopped. It was buggy, tedious, and lacked the long-term appeal of competitors. And I know a lot of us were totally bummed by this, because in Anthem, in my opinion, is great gameplay mechanics. You know, the flying is solid, the shooting is solid, in my opinion. There's stuff in there that is excellent, in my opinion, and they just got to get these other systems down. And I think Bioware and EA also know this. So I am extremely curious as to what is happening with Anthem 2.0, Anthem Next, whatever it's going to be called. It's going to be very interesting. And honestly, I expect that this would release, of course, on PS4 and Xbox, PC, but it would be interesting to see it come out on PS5 and the next Xbox, which I think would be a wise decision. People would probably be willing to check out the new graphics and stuff like that if they did that. Now, going forward, it says this: in the coming months, Bioware would delay Anthem's in-game Cataclysm event. This is kind of a history they go into. And on September 17th, the developer said that they were moving away from previously announced update plans in favor of long-term fixes. Now, for me personally, this gutted me, and my reaction was like, I was totally bummed about this. Now, it says this: we hear your concerns on core issues in Anthem and are acting on it, wrote Bioware head of live services Chad Robertson in a blog post. Those systems require a more thorough review and reworking versus quick fixes. We've got a team working on that now, and early results are promising, so that is being worked on as well. Now, it says this: a month and a half later, Robertson had quit, following in the first footsteps of lead producer, Ben Irving, who left in August. The optics of these departures, combined with EA's vague messaging about Anthem's future, have led to non-stop speculation. Bioware ditched Anthem for good, proclaimed the YouTube news show Inside Gaming Daily on November 1st. Around the same time, Forbes journalist Paul Tassi wrote, I no longer really care about hearing about future plans for Anthem because I simply cannot imagine they will be anything beyond the bare minimum of keeping the game alive on life support, if that. And that also gutted me, because you guys may know Paul Tassi of Forbes was one of the few holdouts that was really supporting Anthem and really believed in it. And to see him post something like that really hurt big time, and hopefully that this Anthem 2.0 or Anthem Next is something that is really big and can be seen as perhaps groundbreaking in the future. It's going to take a long time for anything like that to actually happen. It took a very long time for No Man's Sky Beyond to actually be a thing. They kept releasing those, expansions, which were pretty big expansions, and then they just combined them together. They did VR and all that stuff. Now, there is more into this article. It says this: but the reality is that Bioware is still putting a lot of work into Anthem. Details on Anthem Next are hazy, but among other things, the game's developers plan to overhaul the loot, the quest, the social aspects of the game, the difficulty, the progression system, and the world map. One person on the project said they're planning to change the game's entire structure. Right now, the entire world of Anthem is set on a single continuous map. Separating the map into segments would allow developers to tweak and play around with those segments without worrying that they might create bugs and glitches all across the world. We're also looking at breaking up the need to go back to Fort Tarsus after every mission, said the person. And what a mission technically is, that was always a weird disconnect. We're trying to integrate the disparate parts of the game together. And that's very interesting, because Borderlands 3 basically continued off with what they were doing with their franchise, in that they did have these hub spaces. It's not really a complete interconnected open world. It's like these hub spaces, and it works very well apparently in game development in terms of managing the game engine, managing bugs, and also being able to create worlds that are very different from one another, because you're loading in those assets completely and not streaming tons and tons and tons of different assets all in one open world. So that is something that would actually make sense to me, since Borderlands 3 has done that so well. And even, games like Destiny 2 also do that to an extent. Now, let's keep going here. It says this: a second person on the project told me yesterday they were still doing lots of testing things out and experimentation, but still nothing concrete. With so much in the air, it's impossible to know what will and won't change. But it's safe to say that Anthem won't suddenly transform into a brand new franchise. We still expect to see freelancer mercenaries, Shaper artifacts, Javelin exosuits, and all of the other core ideas that the game has established. Now, Bioware's plan is to zoom out and overhaul the gameplay systems that most players have agreed don't work. How and when this plan will come to fruition remains to be seen. So yeah, that's what we're basically waiting on, is the official wording from Bioware. Now, when that's going to happen, no one knows. We'll have to wait and see what's going on there. Now, it says this Anthem was developed by both Bioware's offices, but the plan had always been for Bioware Edmonton to pass the baton to Bioware Austin once the game went live. That has been happening slowly, sources said, which is exciting to members of the Austin team who think they can improve the game. As detailed in our piece about the development of Anthem earlier this year, there were tensions between Edmonton and Austin all throughout the game's production, many of them the result of disagreements on how to approach a live game. As of right now, there are people in both studios working on Anthem Next. So it sounds like they're trying to, bring peace to that collaboration. And that's good news to hear. Now, it says this Bioware, meanwhile, is still invested in role-playing games, in addition to the much-anticipated Dragon Age 4, which Bioware teased last year. A new Mass Effect game is very early in development at Edmonton office under director Mike Gamble, a longtime Bioware producer. So that's what's going on with Bioware, with Anthem 2.0, Anthem Next, whatever you want to call it, whatever it's going to be called. So let me know what you think of all of this. What would you like to see from Anthem 2.0 in the future? Lots of things could actually happen. I don't know what I would actually like to see at this point, because No Man's Sky Beyond was very, very cool. Honestly, I would love to see them completely rehaul this game like they say that they are doing and release it on PS5, the next Xbox. I think that could propel interest in the game big time. And the idea of kind of separating the map into different map spaces, different biomes, could actually really be a positive thing for Anthem, because I know a lot of people are actually complaining with this game that it felt like very similar across the world. It felt like complete forest. So them mixing it up quite a bit could be super helpful, and it's interesting because they could potentially change those biomes however they want through the actual life of Anthem 2.0 down the road. Right now in Anthem, it's actually snowing. There's like a winter update going on. So that's the type of stuff that I think that they really wanted to do. But with biomes, they could change one biome at a time and say, hey, this biome has changed, or this has happened in this world. Go check it out. So that's something that could possibly make it easier to actually update Anthem. But let me know what you all would like to actually see in the future for Anthem. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned for more news about Anthem and other open world gaming goodness. See you all next time, and take care.